Hello, everyone. This is Angela, and you're listening to Homeschool Unrefined, the podcast where we keep homeschool simple, real, and fun.
And this is Maren. You've got episode 111 where we hit the road. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But first, I just want to say welcome back, Angela. I am so glad you're back. I'm so excited.
Thank you. It's great to be back. Also, hello to our listeners. We're so glad to be back with you. Me in particular, because I've been away. It feels like I've been away a while.
Yeah.
Really, it's been one episode, but it's a long time. So hello to everybody. A special hello to our Patreon supporters. And a special shout out to Brittany, who is our newest Patreon supporter. Thank you, Brittany.
Yes. So
if you are interested in supporting us on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined, and you can get episodes, new and different episodes there. We just released one last week where we checked in and we talk about things that are going well, things that are hard, and we talk about our self-care. So you could get that. And if you support us now, you can get all of our back Patreon episodes, which is great. Yeah.
All right. So also just wanted to keep you updated. We had planned on doing some personality episodes this spring and summer. We are actually going to push that back to the fall, just for a couple reasons. We wanted to go with the classes that we're going to be offering later on. And also we had some really great topics that we just felt like it was more appropriate to start talking about now. So thank you for your patience.
And even though those are specific episodes, we talk about personalities throughout each
We really do.
Anyway.
Yeah. It's a thread through all of our episodes. So just keep listening and you'll get lots of good personality talk.
So if you are new here, we just wanted to say welcome and say this is a podcast where we are hoping to change the conversation a little bit about homeschool. A lot of times homeschoolers can feel like there's a huge list of things that they should be doing and that they're probably not doing, or ways in which they're failing. They feel like they're failing. And we wanted to change the conversation and help you to feel a little bit better about what you are already doing, the amazing things that you are already doing as a parent and a homeschooler. And we want you to think differently about homeschool.
Yeah, exactly. And so today we actually, normally on our podcast, we just kind of chat about things at the beginning of our show before we get onto our topic. But today is going to be a little different because our main topic is about traveling. That really was the thing we wanted to chat about too. So we're just going to combine it. Talk about what we're doing travel-wise, and then we're just going to dive into the topic. So, Angela, you just got back from a 6-week trip. And we'd love to just hear a little bit about it and how it all went. I mean, I'm sure you have so many thoughts.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts, so I'll keep it small. But the reason we wanted to do this episode where we hit the road is because, for me, we just got back from hitting the road. And so homeschoolers, hit the road in a lot of ways, whether it's like a short trip or a long trip or a year-long trip. But ours was 6 weeks long. My husband took a sabbatical from work, which is something we've been talking about for years. So finally made that happen. We went to Costa Rica for most of it. We went a couple other places too for little parts of it. For the bulk of it, though, we spent in Costa Rica. We rented a house and we just kind of tried to do, I don't want to say normal life because we were definitely tourists, but we lived there for a month. So we did things like, we of course went to the beach and stuff like that. But we also, went grocery shopping and went for walks and went to the market and stuff like that. So, and then mixed in with a bunch of touristy type things.
Right. Did it feel a little less intense than a normal vacation because you were there for so long?
Yeah, it did. Gosh, I didn't think about that till you just asked that. But yes, it definitely felt less intense. Usually vacations are, especially when you go to a new place, you're trying to squeeze in all of the tourist things into a week or 10 days or something. So this, yes, we definitely felt like we had time. We did like 1 to 2 touristy things a week probably. And the rest of the time we were just kind of doing our normal thing in a new place, which is, there's a lot going on when you're doing that too. For, it's it's intense anyway. So it was really great. It went better than expected. I was, I'm an Enneagram 6. I'm a little bit
Which means just a little background.
means I'm motivated by fear to not feel fearful. I tend towards anxiety. So before going on this trip, I'm thinking worst case scenarios. Like what could happen?
Right.
And so I was a little nervous going in, like, are the kids going to get along? Because we're living in this really small house, we're sharing tripping over each other to share spaces. Is it going to be too hot? Is it going to be too long? Is that too long of a time? Should we do something else? But really, I didn't need to fear because it was really mostly perfect. I mean, it was the perfect blend of adventure and downtime.
That's awesome.
The kids learned a lot of great lessons.
Yeah.
We all learned a lot of great lessons having to be in such close quarters. And it was really perfect. So I'm really grateful that we got to do it. And so we're going to talk a little bit later about like some more details about what we did and how we made it work with the kids. So, and then you, Maren, have some big news about next year.
I know. Yeah. So things have just started developing. We started out brainstorming about traveling for a year around the United States. And things just kind of started falling into place a little bit at a time. I mean, one thing and then another thing. And pretty soon we were booking places to stay. So, things kind of fell into place for us. So we are going to be traveling. This summer, we are going to New York City for a wedding. And so we just decided, let's start there. We're going to spend a month in New York City, which is something I've always wanted to do. I mean, spend an extended time there. It's not a place that I necessarily feel like I want to live, although I'm so curious. I'm just so intrigued by the culture. So, in New York City and the diversity and just like everything about New York City. So we're going to spend a month there. And then we're going to actually be back in Minnesota for another wedding and then head out west. Then we're going to drive out west and we're going to be living probably for about a month at a time in a few different locations on the West Coast. And then we're going to end up by January, we'll end up in Austin, Texas, where my husband does a lot of work anyway. I mean, here we live in Minnesota, but he does travel for work a lot to Austin, Texas. So it was kind of an obvious place for us to go.
Yep.
And it's warm in the winter. Exactly. So we're going to spend probably an extended time there, maybe January through May. And then our dream would be to go to Norway next summer because that's just another place that we've always loved. We went on our honeymoon there, and we've always wanted to take our kids. So,
yeah.
So yeah,
that's
I know.
Exciting.
It's
so
super exciting, and we're just like taking it one place at a time, kind of, and we'll just see where it ends up. The places I'm telling you right now. many of those places
change.
might not happen. We'll see. But so far, a couple we've solidified New York and Seattle. So that's exciting.
You have?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
So
and you are so you're driving.
Yes.
And you're going to stay in like rental houses.
Exactly.
That are furnished. Okay.
Yeah. So we need to basically be able to live. I mean, we have to have everything that we want to keep in our car. Anything we want to keep. Yep. So that's gonna be interesting. It'll be very interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. That's so exciting. So we are going to talk a little bit more about that later too, about the details.
For sure.
Yeah. So let's start by talking about why we think travel is good. And also, on the flip side, it can be hard for some of the same reasons.
It's really a double
that it's good.
It's
it can also be hard,
really. I mean, some of the good things about traveling can also be the exact things that are hard for us.
Yeah.
So often. So I'd love to hear from you, especially since you're just coming off of a trip, a long trip.
Well,
you know.
Okay. Yeah, so my tendency is always to want to stay home. I think I
Mm-hmm.
said this in our, I don't know if it was our regular episode or the Patreon with Jamie Martin, but my preference is always to stay home.
Yeah.
However, now since I got out and did this big thing, it was amazing. And I think, Angela, you need to do that
Yeah.
more.
Right.
Getting out of your normal routine is
Mm.
so good. It is so good to get out of your normal routine, shake things up, um, and experience new things and have to change the way you're doing things. That is just
Mm.
so good. It's also
Yes.
really hard. It's also what makes it hard is you're getting out of your normal routine. And then, but the good thing is it's exciting to get out of your routine and then it's so exciting to get back into your
Right,
routine.
right,
At least for me. It's exciting to be gone and then it's exciting to be home.
I think it's also
And
tricky for me. It's tricky because my personality type. You see, we're bringing in personality types here.
yeah.
It's coming in. So like my Enneagram 7 and my ENFP Myers-Briggs really tends towards wanting to switch up the routine a lot. So I tend to want to do that a lot. So I am often checking myself and saying, don't keep changing up the routine because a lot of people in my family cannot handle that.
Right.
But this, I do think that sometimes it's good, right? Like sometimes it has to happen. And so for me, it's kind of like I get to do the thing I, have been wanting to do for so long and really holding myself back sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Right.
like, and it's a good situation to do it in. It's a good time. So
For sure. I mean, even if your not everybody's an Enneagram 7 in your family, it's still good
is.
for them. It was
Right,
still good for
right.
me to get out. Yeah. And I was kind of reminded of a couple years ago, I read Tish Oxenreider's book, At Home in the World. And actually, Jeremy and I listened to that together on audio. And that was one thing that was one of the things that kind of spurred us on to take this trip.
Awesome.
But she talks about that same thing, that wanting to leave and wanting to travel and then also wanting to be home. And I definitely felt that.
For
So,
sure.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like when I'm home, I want to be away. And when I'm away,
Yeah.
I am ready. Like, I think about home.
You
You
are.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's always an angst, I think. There's always an angst. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Another great reason I feel like for traveling is to see new perspectives. And I think this can sound kind of obvious. Like, well, yeah, you go to another place and you see, a perspective that you might not see at home, right? A different culture, different people. But I also think just yourself, looking through the world yourself from your own lens in a different place is so good.
Yeah. 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 Putting yourself in that different kind of situation and seeing how you handle it.
It is.
That's
It's
a new perspective.
perspective.
And I also think you don't have to go out of the country for this. Obviously, out of the country, it was it was more intense. But there are different perspectives, like in your same state, in your same city, in different states, wherever. I mean, you can you can see things in a different way in lots of different kinds of places.
And I think we all have different perspective after we've had an experience. So that can be, that can really be anywhere.
I think another reason that traveling is great, especially for families, is that shared experience. I think it's something that bonds you forever. I mean, I will forever be able to say to only the 5 people in my family, do you remember that time in Costa Rica that we went whitewater rafting? Nobody else in the world had that same experience that we shared together. And so though we're making memories that we can call back on later in life. And so I know we can do that at home too, but I mean I often think of 10 years from now, would I have remembered this 6 weeks at home?
Right.
Probably not as much. So I think they're good, concrete, vivid memories that we can
and
remember
the unique thing
forever.
about doing things as a family, having a shared experience as a family, is you are having positive, hopefully, memories or experiences with each other. Like when it's just the 5 of you or the 6 of us, on trips, we rely on each other for that, like, camaraderie, for support, for answering questions, for like going with someone to the bathroom, like all those things. You're relying on the person in your family to help you do that thing. And there's no other friends around to help you, there's nothing wrong with having friends, but you know what I mean? Like there's this special time where it's just you all relying on each other. And that's something very special.
Yeah, I noticed that definitely for us, and we are going to talk more about that later,
for
sure. Also, traveling is good because it's a more natural way of learning.
It's life experience.
I don't think it's life experience. Yes, you're having to, you're learning in a natural environment, which I think always is things get solidified in your mind more. I mean, you have to experience something. That's always going to be the kind of learning that sticks with you rather than, doing the math book, which I'm not, there's a place for doing the math book, definitely. But I think this kind is the kind that, your brain is going to catch on
I mean,
to.
it's like, it's a real life experience. So you're at the ticket counter and you're buying a train ticket. You have to figure this out. Like, I got to get this right money out and I need this much change back and the train is leaving in 8 minutes. You know what I mean? That's real life, and it's going to stick with you. Traveling. Another great thing about traveling, and maybe hard thing, is that we own our learning when it comes to traveling. I think so much more than in when I'm home and I'm opening a book and asking kids to do this work that they're not really super into. But when I ask my kids, can you help us plan the route to the hotel, or like how are we going to get there, how many more minutes is it going to take for us to get there, and all those kind of things. They're really owning that is it's having real life impact on what's happening right now. So I just think that's just so powerful.
It is. And you were reminding me, because when we were planning this, you said that, and I said, oh, you're really good at that. You do that all the time. And you do, like before you go on a trip, you have your kids plan out lots of things for the destination that you're going. And I don't usually do that. Now, when I get there, I do. But you said, Angela, you do things like your kids pack their own suitcase. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's so good. They're figuring out what's going to fit, what's going to have to stay home, how many pairs of shorts am I going to need, stuff like that. And so you're right. And that is a great example of them, like, being in charge of the things that they're learning.
And have you ever asked one of your kids, can you find a place for us to go eat tonight? Because I just can't.
Yeah, all the time. Yes, because I hate making those decisions. So actually, I did that a lot.
I'm sure.
Yeah, you figure this out. Like, you can look on the apps and figure where is close and what's cheap and what has good reviews, and
I mean, that's real life skill. That's a real life skill right there. So.
Yeah. Now we're going to talk about some specific types of learning that happen, and we're going to call it on autopilot, because that's a term that we like to use. That means we've done a whole episode on autopilot before. This is the type of learning that happens without you even really having to do anything while you are traveling. So things that you probably don't even think about.
Kind of like, you were saying, well, I don't even do this. And you might not even notice that your kids are learning so much. Yeah. Yeah. One of those things for me that I do notice that my kids have to figure out when we're traveling is self-regulation. They need to regulate themselves. So if we have sometimes when we're traveling, we have intense days. There's something, it's a big thing that's happening that day. We're going sightseeing, or, we're going to be walking for 4 or 6 miles or whatever, like it's just, it's going to be a tough at some point of the day, and so, when I talk to my kids about that, I like to prepare them and say, so what do you think, what do you think we need to do to prepare ourselves for this day? Like, how are you going to enjoy this day the most? Are you going to need to find your most comfortable shoes? Will that help you so that, so that you can have a good day? Should we pack some snacks? Or, things like that. Like, let's think ahead in a real life situation about what's going to help you make it through today. in a pretty much positive way. I mean, it's never going to be perfect, right? And then also, when do you need to take breaks? I really appreciate it when my kids are like, okay, this is getting to be too much. I need to sit down for a while. Or you guys go in there, we'll stay back because we need a break. I think that's so powerful for kids, especially to be able to speak up for themselves and say what they need in those kind of situations. And when we get home, good. I need to go lay down, or I need to go be by myself for a while. Like, we've been together all day.
Yes, that is so good. I think a lot of this happens too with siblings, and I know a lot of sibling stuff happens while we're traveling. But my kids had to regulate, like, how am I going to get some alone time away from my siblings, or how am in these cramped quarters, or how am I going to work out these disagreements in an efficient manner? Right. Because we're busy right now.
Right.
Or how am I going to give my sibling some grace and some leeway? Because we're in this kind of stressful situation.
Yes.
And so I think those are lots of ways that situations that they're in, that they have to self-regulate, that they're not usually in.
And I do feel like for the most part, when we're traveling, because there's so much interest in what we're doing, when there is an issue between siblings, they're much more willing to, like, figure it out because they're in a situation that they kind of want to be in anyway. So
they want to move on.
Right. Exactly. Another way, I think, like, for me, self-regulation for me on a trip, really has to do with my personality again, which is, like, I love to have choices, but I don't like to be tied down to a schedule. So a lot of times, I mean, for me, what I would prefer is we have a lot of choices, and then maybe that day or the day before or something, like, we don't have the entire trip mapped out beforehand. And then we just see how everybody's doing that day. And for me, that makes me very happy.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love that kind of travel.
And I really do like to get out and see things. But if I had to make the decision ahead of time, I'd just probably say no to everything. But that day I'd be like, yeah, sure. I'd love to go do that.
Yeah, that's good. Other autopilot things, an obvious thing I think that happens while you're traveling that I don't even realize is geography. I mean, so much more than when we're at home. And, I always think, oh, I should have thought ahead and gotten some maps and, like, done some stuff ahead of time. And I didn't, but it was still like,
you can't really help, but learn the geography of where you are.
No.
Yeah.
Totally. And the same goes for nature. I feel like any new place that we're in has different plants and animals, has different, like, weather and climate.
So true.
And so it's something that you just can't help but soak in when you're there.
My favorite Instagram stories that you posted while you were gone was when you went to that, was it a national park or a state park? And
yeah, we went to a national park in Costa Rica. There's a lot of them. But this one, my husband has been wanting to go to for years because it's the most biodiverse area in the world. So, which means it has the most variety of plants and animals. And we got a guide, which we did because you have to. But then I was like, I need to be getting a guide every time I go hiking because this is amazing. This is amazing.
Because sometimes you think a guide and I have to sit and listen to this guy talk. Yeah.
Oh, no. It was captivating.
It's awesome.
It was so captivating to learn about all the insects and plants and animals. I mean, Were your kids into it? The entire time. Yes. Yes, because it was fascinating. I think because it was so different too, that it was amazing. I mean, I took so many, like, 5-minute videos of our guide talking.
So I think that's a great example, because if you were at a state park in Minnesota and had a guide going through one of our state parks, they'd be like, maybe.
You don't think so?
I don't know. I just think because it was a different environment, your kids were like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Anytime somebody tells me about the plants and animals, I get excited. So maybe not my kids so much, but I like that stuff. Yeah. So I think any kind of nature stuff, and like we usually try to go hiking wherever we are, and so you can't help but like soak that stuff in naturally.
Another, I think, obvious one is cultural. Like just soaking in the culture of wherever you are.
Right. And that does not have to be like going internationally.
Totally
like I said
not.
before. Yeah. I mean, there's a different culture in different states for sure.
Different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. So that was something that was really big for us. You know, before we went to Costa Rica, we went to the southern US and we did a little road trip, and that was definitely a cultural experience too. That was a highlight for us. Definitely. And you couldn't help but soak that stuff in.
Totally. And one thing that I love to do when we're traveling is to kind of just do regular, like you said, obviously you're not, you're still a tourist. You were still a tourist in Costa Rica, but you were just doing everyday things like going to the market or going for walks and going to the parks or whatever. And I love doing that kind of stuff. I'm really excited to do that in New York City. I know that our kids, have made lists of all the touristy things they want to do in New York, which is, for sure. Okay. And I'm sure we will definitely do those things. But I am most excited just to walk the streets and visit stores.
And you're going to be doing that every day. I mean, at the end of our trip, for the last week, we went to Seattle and we stayed downtown, and I love going to a city because, you're walking everywhere. Yeah. And that is an education in itself. Like, because you're trying to figure out, first of all, where you're going and, how you're going to get there. And sometimes you have to take a bus. And I just think, and you're getting so much exercise and like seeing everything at a slower pace. When you're walking, you can get a good look at things.
Totally.
That you can't when you're driving.
So true. We have actually a mutual friend who is traveling right now, and she just posted on Instagram that what they like to do as a family is they go to playgrounds wherever they are. They go to playgrounds and their kids remember places by the playground they went to. And I just think that is so great. Yeah. Because it's just a regular thing. that everyone does thing. In that community. So
Yep. The last thing that we thought just kind of naturally happens that you don't have to plan for is planning an organization. And this is our kids and us. Like we said, things like packing, things like where are we going to go for dinner, things like how are we going to make it to the bus stop on time, or how should we get somewhere, how long is it going to take us to walk there. Those kinds of things just happen because you need them to. And you don't have to say, like, today I'm going to teach my kids about how to, how to get to this bus stop on time.
Because you have to get to that bus stop.
There's no lesson. There's no formal lesson. It just happens.
And I do think there is some value to doing it outside of your normal whatever you do every day. Maybe you do take a bus someplace every day, but to do it somewhere in a different place is, I think it shakes up our brains just enough to pay attention more. Yep.
Right.
Another obvious one too is physical activity. I mean, that's what I love about.
We got so much physical activity.
That's what I love about vacation.
Loved it.
I know. Suddenly there's less complaining about, walking, getting places, hiking.
Going on hikes. It's all welcomed. Going swimming. There's just so much swimming that's happening. Yeah, and then when they want to do screens, I'm actually fine. I'm like, great. Yep, we all need a break.
Yes, please.
Because we just worked so hard.
So true. So true. And also just, this is, traveling is a 5 sensory learning experience. Like all your senses are getting used all the time. Not all the time, but you know what I mean? It's just everywhere you go, you're using. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, and when you are using your senses, your brain is working so much more efficiently. It just does. It just works so well. So, lots of learning just happening because your brain is like opening up to that.
Yep. Okay, so next we thought we would talk about the practical, the school type
Real life
practical
here.
stuff. I mean, there is a lot of natural learning that happens when you're
Mm-hmm.
traveling, and I know I got asked a lot, and I know you will too. Like, what are you doing
Yes.
for school? What did you
Right.
do for
I've already gotten
school?
asked.
And
Yeah.
so you've
What's
already
going
gotten that.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sure you have a nice neat little
Yeah.
plan
Yeah.
that you are
Totally.
telling
Just
people.
tied
No.
up nicely.
So we thought we'd share kind of like I'll share what we
Yes.
did for school, quote unquote school, and you can share if you
Yep.
have
I
any
think
plan.
you should start. Why don't you start with what you did?
Okay, so this is what we did. I didn't feel like we had to do anything. I felt like this is
Yeah.
only 6 weeks. If we don't do any school, it's
Absolutely.
great. It's fine. They're learning so much, like all the things that I just talked about, they're learning. And I would think that about any trip,
Yeah.
probably shorter than this. However, I did feel like we needed a routine of some sort.
There's something so calming about a routine.
Yeah. And because we were gone for 6 weeks, and like I said, 4 weeks of it, we were in Costa Rica, living in a house, doing regular house normal stuff. I felt like a few school tent poles helped our routine. And my oldest was in an algebra class that she wanted to continue because she wanted to finish the class. It was the last 6 weeks of class, and she didn't want to just end early. So she made the decision to keep going with this class, which meant she had homework every day. And so because she had homework every day, we thought, well, maybe we'll all just do a little bit of school it wasn't every day. She had homework 4 days a week. So we thought we'll just do a little bit on those days. And so the days that we were home and not doing touristy type things, we did a little bit. And I'm talking like definitely less than an hour. And all we did was reading. Like I read aloud a little bit, not much. But the kids each had a Kindle Paperwhite. And they had some books on there. So they read for about whatever we said, like half an hour or something a day on those days only. And then like I said, my oldest had her math class. My other two did math on CTC math. And those are very short lessons. They take about 10 to 15 minutes. And so either my husband or I would sit with them while they did it. And so they did that like maybe, like I said, like 3 to 4 days a week. And then that's it. And then the other stuff that, I guess for us is kind of autopilot is audiobooks. They are always listening to audiobooks. And so that's kind of happening during their downtime or before bed or whatever. It's kind of their thing to do. So basically we just concentrated on math and reading. Not because we needed to, but because it really helped our routine.
So good.
It was something that they could count on every day.
And, just even doing, like you said, 10 minutes of math is so great to just keep your mind remembering, what you were doing, what what you're working on, what you know.
Right.
So,
yeah. I felt like it was moderate.
Yeah.
It was a moderate amount of stuff.
That's so great. That's great. That kind of sounds like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Actually, because we are in the middle of major renovations in our house because the big reason why we decided to travel this year was because we wanted to sell our house. And we had always, dreamed of traveling, with our family. So we thought, well, this is a good time. We're not going to be owning a house. So let's travel for a year. So we're working really hard on our house right now. And it's, it's in chaos. Our house is kind of in chaos right now. So to have, like you said, those tent poles every day, we're doing just a few things. And it's something we can do before workers even show up in the morning if we need to, or while they're on their lunch break. You know what I mean? Like, so it's real small chunks of time, or we can even just go to a coffee shop and do them. So it's not anything super intense. It's I do like to read. I still really love reading out loud to my kids every day. We went through a season of not doing that because it's so hard with 4 kids to get everybody on board with one read aloud these days. Used to be a breeze. Everybody was super excited about anything I picked out. But it's getting trickier. So that kind of ebbs and flows. Sometimes we do it more and sometimes we do it less. But I plan on doing that while we travel. while we're driving, audiobooks for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like that's the
For
number
sure.
one. We've said this so many times. I feel like I'm cheating when my kids do audiobooks because it's like the number one autopilot thing to do for me, because
It's so good
they
for them
learn
too.
so much, so
No
much
guilt.
language, so
No
much
guilt.
like big ideas, these big idea concepts, overarching themes. I mean, just so many character development. There's just so many things that they learn. And when they listen to those books over and over again, they just go deeper in that knowledge. And so I feel like if they listen to Harry Potter every day of our trip for a year, then I feel like I'm winning, which they might.
Mm-hmm.
They might.
You are. You are.
Yeah. So I feel like reading is like the thing that probably will happen most for us, especially audio, reading. But yeah, I mean, and our kids can bring books wherever we go. So awesome.
For sure.
It's an easy thing to continue doing. Yeah. And I feel like the same thing with math and anything else. We can do online classes. We just practiced. Our 3 older kids tried a math class via OutSchool this week. They were all in the same class together, and it worked out great. There were 4 kids in the class. 3 of them were mine. And so it was a small group. The teacher was super friendly, and they all caught on and got this concept. So it was great.
So you're not bringing a lot of school type materials because you just have like one vehicle's worth of
exactly.
stuff,
So I have to be really, really careful about what we bring. We have these journals, these Q&A a day journals, which are that's kind of been a tentpole for us. So I feel like I have to bring those along. Mm-hmm. They're going to take up space, which I'm not super excited about. But I mean, it's just something my kids are motivated to do. So, yep.
And then you'll have iPads.
Yes.
And computer and
exactly.
stuff. So, I mean, you can get lots of stuff on there.
Yes. And we also do CTC math, although we're kind of in a slump with that. We've been needing a break.
Okay.
So we've been doing Prodigy, so I'm sure we'll do that some more too. But so lots of stuff on iPads for sure.
I know you're just kind of getting started planning this trip. So as things change,
we're just thinking about
and move along next year, we'll still be talking. So you can fill us in on anything new.
Definitely, and I'd love to hear. I know many of you are much more experts at traveling and learning. So if you have any great ideas for me, I would love to hear them. Apps, online classes, just ways to learn in a car. But you know what though? Also, I am not stressing about it because like we said, we just listed how many things, 10, 15 autopilot things of, that just happen, learning that happens without me even calling it school or, planning anything. So they are learning, intaking so much every day.
That's great.
So, yeah. So I'm not going to stress out about
Good
it.
attitude.
I'm really not.
I like it.
Yep. Yes.
All right. Well, that was a great conversation. Stuff we needed to talk about. Yep.
Definitely. It was good to talk through your trip.
All right. Let's move on to loving this week.
Yes. Angela, what are you loving this week?
I've been waiting to talk about this.
Oh, good. It's my favorite kind of LTW.
I hope it's not a letdown. It's swim goggles. But they are amazing.
Not what I was expecting.
Summer is coming.
Okay.
I've been a parent for a long time, and I don't know why it took me so long to find good swim goggles. And I don't even know how to pronounce this brand, but Aegend, Aegend, Aegend swim goggles.
Where did you find them?
What happened was,
of course,
we have, we get goggles all the time from like either the place where we have swimming lessons or Target or something.
Yes.
And they always break. They always don't really work that well. And so before we went to Costa Rica, we had 3 pair. And I thought I need to get a couple extra pair because these break all the time for when we're there because I knew we couldn't probably go buy any when we were there. And so I just went on Amazon and these were on like a sale, like they're having a flash sale, and I was like, I don't know if I should trust this, but whatever, I'll just get these two. So I got 2 extra pair.
Yeah.
And they're so nice. I used them several times myself. What ended up happening is our other 3 broke, and so then we only had these 2 pair. So we were kind of like fighting over them. But so what's great about them is they're like kind of, I don't want to say bigger, but they're not like little round circles on your eyes. Okay? So like they cover your eye enough. No water gets in. They're for adults and kids, so anybody can use them.
Really?
They don't fog up. I mean,
how is that even possible? Because I feel like when I look at the sea of goggles
I know.
at the store, it's like, these are for ages 9 to 11 and a half. Or,
Nobody
you know, I'm
needs
like,
that.
what?
I know. And like, okay, so we had an original pair, not of these good ones, but of the bad ones that nobody wanted to wear. They weren't broken yet. And I tried to put those on. I'm like, I can't even wear these. These are so uncomfortable. They are like, make me look like I have these little bug eyes, like that are really close together. They just don't, they like are not good for my eyes. And so, but these other ones that I'm going to link in the show notes are amazing. You can see anything. They don't fog up. And they're just versatile. So like, I need to order 3 more pair for the rest of our family because they're great. And I checked. I got them for $9.99.
So happy to hear,
because they were on sale, and I thought, oh no, these are gonna be so expensive. And I went and checked. Their regular price is only $12.99, so they're not that expensive. But they do have lots of 5 stars,
really
5-star reviews. Like people agree with me.
Wow.
So
I'm so impressed and almost in disbelief.
I might actually go swimming and try and use these, like at the lake or something, myself.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So. All right. What are you loving
excited.
this week, Maren?
All right. So I am loving a pair of yoga pants. I know. I've talked. I know we have this conversation a lot to everyone.
Let's hear about them.
If you're new,
are they the same as all the other pants we've talked about?
But they're
like, no, they're different.
No. Oh yeah. Yes, they are. They're they're leggings. They're.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are they black?
How to explain it? They're not black. They're actually, they come in a lot of colors. They are Yogalicious. High waist. Ultra soft. Lightweight.
All the
yoga pants.
Are they on Amazon? Okay.
They're on Amazon. Yeah. And I couldn't believe it. I just thought on a whim, I was ready to spend a lot of money somewhere else, and I thought just before I push the button, I'm gonna go over to Amazon, and I found these, and I thought, okay, I'm just gonna check out the reviews. So I looked at the reviews, and a lot of people were saying these are just like Lululemon, really like high-end yoga pants.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, might as well try them.
Yeah, except cheaper, obviously.
Except way cheaper. They're about $20.
Nice.
Yeah, just so crazy. So I thought, well, I might as well try a pair of these. And they are so great. Now, I tried them on at first, and I thought, ooh, these feel like butter. I mean, they're just amazing. They feel so great. They're not really, I don't feel like they're sucking my body in. You know, like some yoga pants are really strong, have this really strong, hold. But these are not like that at all. But then I thought the test is going to be if I can run or like work out in these, because then when I run, a lot of times yoga pants fall down. They just start sliding down a little bit. And that's really the thing that happens. That's the thing it's the deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
So I wore them to Orange Theory one night, and they were the best. They stayed up better than any other yoga pants I have. So they're sticking around. Definitely.
I never have a problem with yoga pants falling down.
Never?
Never. But maybe I don't work out hard enough that they would fall down.
Oh, my yoga pants fall down like all the time, all day. I mean, most yoga pants I get just fall down all the time. Or are in process of falling down.
I think mine are so tight that they would not fall down.
I think Well, okay. I think what my issue is, and we all have our own issues, right?
Yeah,
But my thighs are the biggest part of my body, right? So
so your stomach is smaller than your thighs.
so my thighs are like pulling down the pants a little bit, I think.
Okay.
That's what's happening. So, but these are great. They do not fall.
Awesome.
They're amazing.
I'm going to check them out, definitely. We'll put links to that and my swim goggles in our show notes. Also, they're on our Amazon store. So you can find everything that we talked about there.
Right.
So.
Yep.
Anyway, thank you everybody for listening. If you would like to connect with us on social media, we'd love that. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Homeschool Unrefined. And we also have a website, homeschoolunrefined.com, where you can find links to everything that we talked about. And we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening.
Homeschool Unrefined is created and produced by Maren Gorse and Angela Sizer. Ethan Miller is our editor, and Amanda Ginn is our VP of all the important things.